Ryan, transfer window is now over. How would you reflect, all in all, on the past month or so of activity?
It's been a busy month. I think that's an understatement. It's been a busy couple of months. Obviously, the planning for this window has been ongoing for some time. When Mark and Connor took charge of the first team, that obviously changed some of the plans. It was crucial to ensure they have the players they want in the squad. But yeah, it's been a busy month. We set out to strengthen the squad. I believe we've done that. That has required some players to leave and some players to come in for various reasons. And I think all in all, it's been a pretty positive window for us, and it helps us hopefully go to the next level this season and in the future.
You just touched on that there, 9 in, 6 out. What are the kind of importances throughout the window that you've got to consider when making these kind of different decisions? I suppose every decision is a crucial one.
Yeah, they are, and for the guys that have left the club, we thank them, for their services. It's probably best for both parties on some of those that have left. They go with our best wishes, and the guys that have come in, we believe we've replaced them at least like for like. I guess certain players who we've signed that have required transfer fees, that takes serious consideration. They are investments for us, and they have to be right. We've put a lot of work into that. A lot of the work that Lee Turnbull's done has been around that deeper research, the looking at their previous records, what they do in and out of football, and of course how they've played. We've been watching these players for some time. 7 of the 9 players we've brought to our club have been players that we've wanted to bring to the club, and Mark and Connor more so wanted to bring to the club since the middle of December. So that's important that we've managed to pull off those signings. A couple of other ones, perhaps curveballs, come out of left field as the windows progress. We knew that would happen. And there are other players that we wish to sign, and we didn't for various reasons. But we're very pleased with what we've got. There's no regrets. And I think most people will agree that the guys that have come through the door, they're here for the right reasons. I've certainly seen that. I've not heard the buzzwords that I hear. I've heard realistic aims from these players. They're talking about wanting to win and achieve things, and they've joined a club that they think they can win things at. And that is the crucial element in terms of when we talked about creating a new culture here, and a culture that doesn't accept mediocrity and ultimately failure.
And how much of this time has been spent, planning for long-term kind of ambitions? We've seen obviously a few of the lads come in on longer-term contracts.
Yeah, I mean, look, COVID-19 and long-term planning don't go hand in hand, and it's caused a number of issues for clubs and businesses across the country, families, you name it. It's been a real challenge for us. I don't want to pretend that we are just planning regardless, because you cannot, and we don't even know what's going to happen next season. But the way this business has been run, certainly for the last 12 months across that pandemic, and then even 18 months prior to that, and the work that Julian Rhodes did and re-leveling this business, if you like, has given myself and the rest of us here a fighting chance. And it's put us on a level playing field, an even keel, so to speak. And it's allowed us to look slightly further down the track. Long-term planning 18 months ago was impossible. We just needed to survive financially. This season has obviously been about survival as a business in a pandemic, but it's been about survival in this division, and we're not there yet. The work to survive and avoid the National League is still on, but we are certainly trying to see where we can finish this season. We're certainly starting to look up the table, which is promising. But yeah, you can see the players, going back to your original point, the players that we have brought on longer term deals are for the future. They are for next season as well. They're potentially for the season after that. But that allows us to build a core of a squad rather than ripping it up and starting again in May. And the players that we've brought are of some quality as well. They really want to be here. They're going to add a lot. They certainly fit what we believe a Bradford City player needs to be. And hopefully they go out on the grass and prove it.
You've touched on Lee Turnbull. Just give us an idea as to the kind of wider recruitment process and what that's entailed. How much has Lee helped? How much has he come in and impacted that?
Well, Lee oversees our scouting net setup, essentially, and that's important. And then he, from that, takes insight from Connor and Mark in terms of the players they'd like to bring, and we build our target list, and that target list will be continuing into the summer and beyond. There are always players you would like to bring to your club. But it means that we're focused on what we're looking at. We're looking at players across this country and different levels and even abroad, which, again, with Brexit, that will be a challenge to bring certain players from abroad now, but it's possible. And we're looking at all avenues as to how we can get the best players in the building within the realms of the salary cap, which is particularly difficult. Lee's had a big involvement. I'm very pleased we've got him at the club. He's been one of our better signings, along with Mark and Connor. There's a togetherness about this. It's not about individuals, and it's not about, it's about trusting each other and everyone understanding where we're at. And Lee's had to adapt, because this isn't like the club he worked at previously. There is no, we're not going to be throwing money around on players every single window and just spending heaps on players that we can't afford. We're trying to, we've got to remain sustainable. That is crucial to the way this business is run, and it's the way it has been successful in the past, and it will be successful in the future if we maintain that model. But yeah, the players we have done. There is some investment in this window, but investment is the key word, because those players are not just here to keep us in this division.
And more generally on yourself, being in the role just over 2 months now, how have you found it in general as chief executive? What's the job been like for you?
Oh, it's been a real, it's been very enjoyable. This is what I've always wanted to do throughout my career. So there's no issue for me. I knew the challenges that I was facing when I took it. I wasn't fazed by them, and there are much tougher challenges to come yet, and I'm not fazed by them either. I can only do what I can do. I believe in having the best possible people around me. The more successful people you have around you, the more successful you'll be. I just want us to achieve things, to be honest. I really don't care about myself, and it's more about what we can do as a collective. The club is making strides on and off the field. I believe we've been making strides off the field for some time. It hasn't translated onto the grass as we would have liked, but it can. There are areas that we're going to further improve in the summer and sharpen, and hopefully it gives us a real chance next season. But hey, this season's still on, and there's something to look forward to now. But we're not falling in love with ourselves. There's still a real challenge to stay in the division. That was the objective when I took the job, to stay in this division, strengthen the squad in January. We've achieved one of those things potentially. But there's a lot to prove yet, and I don't need to tell you that Mark and Connor would like to prove them. They're doing a great job, and their feet are placed firmly on the ground, and we all want the same thing. Let's remember that we all want to do well. So, yeah, for me, it's been an enjoyable couple of months, and I hope we have more good days and bad days. But look, there's a roadmap on the table. We know where we'd like to take the club. There'll be bumps, diversions, setbacks, you name it, dips in the road. It's about getting to the end of the roadmap and not worrying about what gets in the middle. You've got to overcome them bits.
And just how much work finally over the course of the past 2 months, particularly probably over the course of the past month, both, I suppose you could say, in this office and beyond, has been put into concentrating on a positive end to this season, not just that, but a more positive future for everybody at Bradford City?
Yeah, well, when I took over as chief executive, we were on goal difference in the relegation zone, albeit. So finishing the season on a positive was a must, staying up. Now, perhaps expectations have been slightly exceeded on that front. We've really kicked on the field, and long may it continue. It has been about finishing the season well, and it still is. But it is also about putting some markers down for next season and what the future will hold. If you look back to where this club got to in the sort of mid-2010s, that didn't start the day of that season. It started in the years prior. You have to look at how that was achieved, and it's not about trying to reinvent it. I'm not sure how possible that is. It's about trying to take them key ingredients from it. We talk about culture, character, recruitment style, and sustainability, and putting them all back in the pot. And they're the key bits that you can mirror to get this club back to a point where it is successful quite a lot of the time on the field, and therefore as a direct result even more successful off it. So yes, it is about finishing the season on a high. But I'm not looking for, sticky plasters and polyfiller, or call it what you will. That's not going to get us anywhere. That's just going to, tick us on a little bit further. It's about longer term as far as we can. And I think some of the things that we've put in place, not just at first team level, there's a lot of work going on at academy level, which will, long after I'm not here, help this club go forward. And it might be that, I don't see much success personally myself here, but I think in the future, in the very near future, someone will. And it will be probably down to the foundations that we are laying now. And some of those foundations were removed probably around 2016, 2017. And it's not about putting them back in, it's probably about laying new ones. And it's not a new era, that's not a phrase I like. I don't think new eras exist. It's a case of getting us back to a place where we can strike from and have confidence about what we're doing. But you can only do that when you really believe it yourself, and that's down to exhausting everything you've got and getting everything you can out of your budget, and ultimately growing the club, developing what we've got.